Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial on Introduction to Java. Today's tutorial we're going to continue on what we learned before. So we are going to work on the same Java class that we wrote before. It's a very simple Hello World class and we are familiar already with the package name and with the class name, right? If you can see that in between the package name and class name there is another statement which is called the import statement. And always remember that whenever you write the statements, this is one statement, and after the statement it has to be delimited by a semicolon, which is this one. If you don't put it, this will be a compile error. So what is the import statement? If you look closely at the class, you can see that I have used another class, right? So this is the Hello World 2. And what is the Hello World 2? If you look at the left on the package explorer, you can see that I have created one more package, which is com.j102. And under that, I have created another class, which is hello world 2.java. So if we go and look into that, just double click and it will be coming out. This is again a very simple class. And this is a very simple method which is just printing one line of statement, and you can see that the package declaration is coming at the top. Now we want to invoke this method of this class. So how do we do that? We have to create the instantiation. We have to create an instance of the Hello World 2. This is the process how we do that, and don't worry if you don't understand it, because we are going to talk about this in the object-oriented Java tutorial. Okay, but just remember that we create a new instance here with the keyword new. Okay, and then this is the reference to the new class or new object, and we are accessing to the method through this. Okay, so in order to use this, we have to import that class here, and that is the whole purpose of the import. Okay, so here is the format of a Java file, that the package declaration is coming first, then the import statement, and the class. Remember that this is a top level class, okay, and the top level class has always need to be public. Okay, so now let's talk about the format of a class. So let me get my paint. So we are going to talk about the format of the class, that how or what we need to write in order to get the format. Okay, so the format of the class is, first we need a access modifier, and then the class, and then the class name, and then the curly brace and close it. This is going to be, within these curly braces, this is going to be the body of the class. So if we look at the class that we have written, it's like this: public class, and then hello world, right? Like that. So this public is a access modifier. There are few other access modifiers, and we are going to discuss about just two. One is public and the other one is the default. So if a class has to be default, we don't write the word default. We just write class hello world. Okay. So when there is nothing in front of the class, the access modifier is a default. Now what is the difference between public and default? The difference is, let's say I have a package A and a package B. In the package A, I have written a class C1 and class C2, and under the package I have written a class B1 and B2. Okay, so now if this one is public, then B1 can access of this, then B1 can access all the methods, or basically B1 can access A1, or B2 can access A1, or C2 can access A1. So that means when public, anyone can access. Now let's say I made C1 as default. So default means I don't write anything. I just write class hello world. Okay. So in that case, B1 will not be able to access it. Okay. And B2 will not be able to access it. Only C2 can access it. So that means public means anyone can access, and default means only the package level classes can access. Okay, we need to remember this. Okay, so let's go to our example here and let's make it default. Okay, and then if we run it, now come here and see that it says like you cannot access it. Okay, the type hello world 2 is not visible. That means this class is not able to access that. So in order to access this hello world 2, I need to make it public. Okay. All right. So now, yeah, spelling mistake. Okay. So now we are able to access it. See, the compilation error is gone. And remember, like whenever there is a red mark, that means there is a compilation error, or there is sometimes of error. Okay. So now let me get my paint again, and there are a few other type of access modifiers. We are not going to discuss those. We are going to keep that for the later tutorials. Okay, so this is about the class. Okay, now let's go and see the method format. Okay, so the format of the method is kind of same, but a little bit different. Okay, so the format of the method is again access modifier. Okay, and then there can be a keyword static, it's optional, and then we have a return type, and then the method name, and then the parameters. Okay, so now if we look at the method that we have written, it's public static void main string args. Okay, so again the public is a access modifier, which means anyone can access. Anyone can access provided the class is visible. Okay, so that means the class needs to be visible. That means a class which is a public and which has a method B, that means class C can access it. Okay, but if a class is default and C is in another package, okay, in that case it doesn't matter what is the access modifier for B, because this class C cannot access it because A is not visible, because it's C is in a different package. Okay, so public means we can access it, private means there is another access modifier, just no one can access. No one can access method. Okay, only the members of the class. That means if you, let's say A class has two methods. One is small a and the other one is small b, and both are private. This one is private, this one is private, so they can access each other because they are within the same class, but no other class can access these two methods because these are private. So the extreme is private, no one can access this method, and the other one is public, that means anyone can access it. We'll talk about the static keyword. Okay, right now in this tutorial we are going to use all our methods as static. Later on in the next tutorial, object-oriented tutorial, we are going to use a different one. Okay, then the return type. For our first example, hello world, we made it what? Void. So void means no return. No return type. It doesn't return anything. And then we have the method name, which is the main method. And remember that always we need to have one main method in our project so that the JVM can invoke it. So the JVM is looking for this method to execute. If you don't have a main method in your project, the JVM is not going to invoke it, and it will run, but you will not see any output of it. Okay, and there are different return types. We'll talk about those in this tutorial. I mean, in this tutorial series, when you're going to talk, or when we are going to discuss more about the methods, and then there is a method name. Okay, so I think we have a good understanding, at least, to run a hello world program, and we know the concept of class, we know the concept of method, we know what is package, and we know what is import declaration. So that's it for today's tutorial. Thank you.